We've got some breaking news out of the NFL where Geno Smith is returning to New York. The Raiders are trading the veteran quarterback to the Jets for a 6th-round pick. That's the latest from our lead NFL insider, Jonathan Jones. New York will also receive a 7th-round pick in return. Now, Geno spent this past season with the Raiders where he had arguably the worst season of his career, throwing a league-leading 17 interceptions. Prior to that, he spent 5 seasons with the Seahawks where he was a 2-time Pro Bowler and won Comeback Player of the Year in 2022. Geno now makes his return to East Rutherford where he was a 2nd-round pick in 2013 after playing 4 seasons with the Jets.
And more breaking news out of the NFL where the Patriots are signing wide receiver Romeo Doubs. That's the latest from our Jonathan Jones. Doubs spent the past 4 years with the Packers, leading the team with 55 catches for 724 yards and 6 touchdowns last season. Our Pete Prisco has him ranked as the number 27 free agent in this year's class for CBSSports.com. Let's talk about it with our friends Danny, Ligier, Jacqueline, Claudia here with you. We knew the Patriots were going to make a move after they said goodbye to Steph Diggs. Romeo Doubs, Ligier, what do you think about that fit?
Claudia, I love what your Patriots have done on the low throughout free agency. When you look at Romeo Doubs, losing Stephon Diggs, they're both possession receivers. Those are guys that can really eat up the middle of the field. But the thing that's different between Diggs and Doubs is a red zone threat as well. He can really go up and high point the football, 6 receiving touchdowns. You add in a guy like Draymond Jones that they added to add subsequent pass rush on the outside, Elijah Vera-Tucker, who's a Pro Bowl caliber player but has dealt with some injuries. They essentially added 3 impact starters on this team for a team that went all the way to the Super Bowl last year. So the Patriots are just not standing idle by based off what they did last year, DK. I love that they're continuing to be aggressive 2 years in a row to free agency because they still have that quarterback on his rookie deal.
I love the move to give Drake May a weapon on the outside. He's big, he's 6'2", he's 204, he's been consistent, he runs great routes. I think this is a great fit for the Patriots to replace Stephon Diggs. Still think they need that true number 1 receiver to give you that true like alpha on the outside, but I think this is a great fit for what they're trying to do.
And a much better world for him too, because with the Packers there was zero idea of who was the main target there, and he certainly will be with New England.
And we do have our lead NFL insider Jonathan Jones joining us right now. So JJ, what more can you tell us about Romeo Doubs agreeing to go to New England with his new team there?
Yeah, it had been a lot of talk the last day or so between the two sides on getting a deal done. I know the next question is going to be, what does this mean for the Patriots and A.J. Brown? This does not necessarily take the Patriots out of the running for A.J. Brown, but it means that they aren't so desperate for A.J. Brown. That is not me. That is not New England saying that Romeo Doubs is A.J. Brown on the football field, right? But this is, in terms of roster building and team construction, making it less of a necessity for the Patriots to give up premium draft picks, whether that be in 2026 or 2027, in order to acquire A.J. Brown. So as it relates to Romeo Doubs, we're still waiting on the official numbers, and even once we get those numbers, we'll still wait for the contract really to come through. But this is a deal that this is one of their biggest deals of this offseason for the New England Patriots. And I think the guys just mentioned it. You got Drake May on his rookie deal. You want to be aggressive. This is a team that hasn't been able to draft at that wide receiver position all that well. So go out and get a guy who for 4 years was able to contribute in Green Bay and hope that you're catching him at the start of the prime of his career as a 6'2" wide receiver. So that's the Patriots side of things, why they went after Romeo Doubs.
You can give him all the receivers in the world, but if you don't have protection, that's the issue. So hopefully they shore up that offensive line. Jonathan, I'm curious, and not just Patriots bias, as Ligier likes to tease me. How many teams are really in the running? We knew Romeo Doubs of the receivers was one of the familiar names. Was there a lot that the Patriots sort of put into the middle of the table? Was there a lot of competition around the league? I'm curious there.
Yeah, again, we'll wait on the final numbers to see just how much the Patriots really liked Romeo Doubs. It really does depend, because there's a report of 4 years and $70 million. There's a report of 4 years and $80 million. I'd be extremely surprised if this is a true $20 million per year deal. And so we're probably cutting this in half, and we're probably calling this a 2-year, $35 to $38 million deal. And then we'll see after that for Romeo Doubs. That's probably what you do once you start getting at the end of the first wave, start of the second wave. of free agency. You know, a lot of teams aren't willing to give up that sort of capital once you get to this point in free agency where they say, well, yeah, we can just go ahead and draft someone, and the bang for the buck is a little bit more. So, again, Patriots getting a guy that they felt fit them. Clearly, they identified him early, similarly to Elijah Vera Tucker. They were quietly in on him very, very early on, got him done late last night on what I would call a team-friendly deal, and now they get Doubs on what I would also assume to be a lot better for New England than it may seem immediately.
So we know the Patriots coming off a Super Bowl appearance, which happened a lot quicker than I think a lot of us thought post Tom Brady in that era. But Lige, do they need to be more aggressive? Need to go get another wide receiver? What else do you need to see from New England if they want to get back there and potentially win a Super Bowl again this time? Yeah,
Jacqueline, we talked about how they've been quietly aggressive compared to what they did last year. They came out on a spending spree last year, but I love, to JJ's point, how meticulous they've been with some of the moves. Elijah Vera Tucker is a high upside guy. The issue with him is he hasn't been healthy. And Claudia, you spoke to it earlier. They need to do better in their protection. Well, seems like they've already traded away Garrett Bradbury to the Chicago Bears. They're going to move Jared Wilson into center, and this allows Elijah Vera Tucker to be in there with a winner who at the guard position. So the interior should be solidified for Drake May. You know this, DK, as a quarterback. That interior pressure is a nightmare. Now, they've had issues at the tackle position protecting as well, so they really need Will Campbell to step up this year, which I think he will in his second year. Let's not forget, he was also dealing with a knee injury. So I like the moves they've done. I don't think they need to be ultra aggressive because this was a team that got to the Super Bowl. And right now, even though Josh Allen is in this division, to me, the Patriots are still the favorites to win the AFC East because of everybody that they've retained and these moves they've made in free agency this year.
Two things to take away from this conversation. Will Campbell, it feels like they're going to be a little bit stubborn and stick with him. I'm okay with that. During the Super Bowl, it was a big topic of discussion. Correct. His arm length, is he getting exposed? That was a hot topic coming out of the draft. He still is a young player who can get better. Correct. The best thing I heard there from JJ was that they're not at the market for A.J. Brown. We were talking about Romeo Doubs. We're saying, I think he's a number 2. They need an alpha. They need a number 1. If they get A.J. Brown, there's your number 1. Then all of a sudden, that helps Romeo Doubs. That gives Drake May another target. Then all of a sudden, you're starting to cook with some gas. So I think the Patriots they're being very smart because, again, when you have a quarterback on his rookie deal, that's the opportunity to spend a lot of money elsewhere, get him the pieces he needs, and then you can make that run, hopefully back to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
From a rookie quarterback to not so much a rookie quarterback, but he has a new home in Geno Smith. JJ, the Jets bringing him in from Las Vegas. What are you hearing around that?
Yeah, a new home is his old home, is his new home yet again. Obviously, this is a much different Jets organization than the one that Geno left, or the one that left Geno to go. He returns to the New York Jets. So what this is, it is a pick swap. And so the Raiders are going to get the New York Jets 6th-round pick. The Jets are going to get Geno and a 7th-round pick. That's sort of immaterial. The thing here, what is important to know, is that the Jets are essentially getting a veteran quarterback in Geno Smith almost for free. So there is a new deal in place. We are still waiting to get the full details of that deal. But the Las Vegas Raiders, to accommodate this trade, are eating a majority of the salary. And so the Jets, in this late round pick swap for 2026 draft pick compensation, are getting a quarterback in Geno Smith at somewhere between $1.5–2.5 million. Again, still waiting on the final numbers, but overwhelmingly the Raiders are paying Geno Smith to go play quarterback for the New York Jets. So anytime that can happen, it's great. The Raiders need to keep spending money because we've talked about it. They need to hit that salary cap floor. That is what they are doing there. Meanwhile, the Jets, who wanted to go there, Geno Smith wanted to go back with Jay and Danny.
That's how you feel, JJ? That's what we're doing.
And look, but let's be clear before, the Jets are not well thought of out there, right? And they were going to have to overpay to get a free agent. And do we know that they're going to be successful? And Aaron Glenn is on the hot seat. And Frank Reich was there, dusted off the cobwebs on him to come be the offensive coordinator, right?
True.
And so we can talk about how the Jets do have some good pieces. We can talk about how they have to sort of build and have some stepping stones, right? We can do all that, and I really do like the moves they made on defense. But people were not stumbling. This wasn't like, back when we used to have the real Black Fridays at the mall and everybody would rush in and people would get trampled. That is not what was going on with quarterbacks heading to New York for the Jets, right? So I'll let you take it from there.
I'm just taking ricochets up here, like left and right, hand grenades.
And guys,
you asked for it.
Yeah, Lige,
I asked for it. It's crazy.
Oh my gosh. I'm curious though, because we talk about change of scenery, right?
Yeah.
With quarterbacks, and this is sort of that. Not really. It's like a revisiting of a scenery,
Pretty
I suppose.
much. Yeah.
But how much do you think that Geno can get back to that player that we saw during that stint with Seattle, where he was a 2-time Pro Bowler, the comeback player of the year? And as JJ mentioned, it is a different Jets team. But are you confident that he can get back to that version of Geno Smith in this version of the Jets?
Well, people I've talked to in the New York area and people that are close to the team, they were always going to be in on 2 veteran quarterbacks. And the names that were prominently put out there were Geno Smith and Carson Wentz. And when you look at Carson Wentz, obviously makes a lot of sense. He's got the history of Frank Wright, who's going to be the offensive coordinator. I think the Geno Smith thing makes a lot of sense. To JJ's point, you're getting cheap labor, right, for a veteran quarterback who's been a Pro Bowl quarterback. And for people who will say, well, yeah, he led the league with 17 interceptions last year. Let's not forget, they probably had the worst O-line in football. And 2, didn't their offensive coordinator get fired halfway through the year, and Chip Kelly, because they just could not get on the same page with the players and the coach as far as calling the play? So to me, Geno Smith didn't just forget how to play football. To your point, when he was in Seattle, high thought of player, right? There was a reason why they gave him an extension there and why the Raiders traded for him, because he was a high thought of player. So I think a change of scenery is good. I know a lot of people will bring up the bad memories from when he was a New York Jet, but sometimes you got to go away to come back home. So I like the move, 1, because business-wise, it makes a lot of sense. You're getting cheap labor for a veteran quarterback. And 2, this could be like a reclamation project for Geno Smith.
I think this is the complete opposite of what they did last year, right? With Justin Fields, blow the dice, see what we can hit, see if we can find a quarterback and maybe get hot and find the future of our franchise. This one, you want to steady the ship.
Correct.
Like, you want to calm things down a little bit. You bring in a seasoned veteran who is a consummate pro, who's going to be a great leader, a voice in that locker room. And I think there is a floor at what he brings at quarterback. And yes, it got ugly and there were a lot of turnovers last year. And there are some similarities. He had a young, talented running back in Ashton Genty. Now he gets Breece Hall. Yeah. But I do think he'll give them stability, which is what they drastically need. He's stayed healthy. He's pretty durable. I think this is a smart move for the Jets. And I think this is exactly what Aaron Glenn needs to kind of just steady the waters a little bit.
The question is, though, when do they actually have their quarterback of the future? Because they're sort of putting Band-Aids, it feels like, over the last few years with these